McMansion, McMansion, McDonald's.
McDonald's seems to have an eye for success, but sometimes certain menu items fly right under the radar and head straight into oblivion. Here are more of the 10 bizarre food items that disappeared from the McDonald's menu, Part 2.
Don't you dare.
McDLT.
What do you want, Michael?
A McDLT?
No, I already told you they don't make those anymore.
Don't you ever get tired of your old cold tomato and lettuce being mixed in with the rest of your warm burger? The answer is probably no, because that's what a burger is. But back in 1984, McDonald's thought of the perfect, or useless, new menu item that would resolve all of your temperature problems, the McDLT. The McDLT aimed to keep the hot side hot and the cool side cool, and was basically just a regular burger, but came in 2 different compartments. One had the bun and the patty, aka the warm elements.
Oh, that is so hot!
While the other side had, you guessed it, the lettuce and tomato, the cold toppings. The first issue with this burger was the packaging. It was made of polystyrene, which isn't exactly eco-friendly, and people would often complain. The other problem was the inconvenience of the whole burger. Turns out, people aren't a fan of the build-your-own-burger thing and thought it was too much of a hassle. Plus, it was just a standard burger topped with veggies and nothing mind-blowing. While the McDLT spawned a cousin, the Big and Tasty, the concept didn't last, and it was discontinued in the 1990s.
I'm really gonna miss you.
Cheddar Melt.
This is no mere sandwich of grilled meat, toasted bread, Robin. This is God.
Another McDonald's fallen angel menu item that disappeared from our lives way too soon is the Cheddar Melt. And yes, it was just as delicious as it sounds.
Wow, my God, so creamy. Oh.
Introduced in the late 1980s, the Cheddar Melt was a grilled beef patty with a teriyaki glaze, topped with caramelized onions and cheddar cheese sauce, all placed on a rye bun. It was an immediate success, but sadly, it was pulled in the early 90s and the fans were left in despair. The late 1980s was a period when McDonald's would rapidly introduce new items and discontinue them just as quickly, and the Cheddar Melt was a victim of that trend. Over the years, it's made some reappearances here and there, like at a McDonald's in Wisconsin, where they started selling it again for a limited time back in 2014. Which makes sense, since Wisconsin and cheese go together like peanut butter and jam. But it never stuck around for the long haul. Some people are still desperately trying to recreate the McD's Cheddar Melt in online recipes, claiming they taste like the real deal. But the only way to know for sure would be to go back in time and try one for yourself. Either way, the disappearance of the Cheddar Melt is still greatly mourned.
I believe I can bring him back.
Eggs Benedict McMuffin.
Is it a real egg?
It's safe to say that McDonald's isn't exactly the fanciest place to eat. It's a quick, on-the-go fast food joint, perfect for your busier days. But in 2016, it seems as though they tried to change that image by offering a more refined cuisine and came up with the Eggs Benedict McMuffin. It was basically McDonald's attempt at a deluxe menu item, and it failed. It's understandable that with every other fast food chain trying to compete with the Golden Arches, they would want to change up their menu a bit and create a buzz. But some things should probably be left untouched, like fast food Eggs Benedict.
That's true.
While the 2 topless Egg McMuffins were covered with the hollandaise sauce, the Eggs Benedict weren't really Benedict at all, meaning they weren't poached. They just looked like regular eggs placed on the bun. Nothing too fancy there. And it also didn't help that the sauce wasn't exactly the finest either. Wasn't too bad, but wasn't too good. While most people seem to look past the fact that the Eggs Benedict McMuffin really wasn't top-notch, others complained about how bad it was. So after the promotion ran its course, the Eggs Benedict McMuffin was pulled from the menu and was never seen again. Maybe McDonald's should stick to what they do best and leave the fancier dishes for another time and place.
You're right.
McLobster.
Your Maine lobster with crab and seafood stuffing.
Oh, yum.
Ah, yes, seafood. Exactly what you're looking for when you go to a hamburger place like McDonald's.
What?
While the McLobster might not sound like the safest thing to get at a McD's, it was actually way better than it seems. McDonald's came up with the McLobster in 1993, but due to supply issues and the high cost of production, it was discontinued not long after, much to the fans' discontent. The McLobster was a sandwich that contained chunks of lobster mixed with mayonnaise, celery, and served on a 6-inch roll with lettuce. While people were skeptical at first, and for good reason, this was, after all, McDonald's selling seafood, they were quickly proven wrong. Surprisingly, the McLobster began selling like hotcakes, hence the supply shortage. After being away for some time, it finally made an appearance again, but only in certain parts of the US and Canada. If you're lucky enough to live in New England or Canada, you might still be able to get your hands on one. Occasionally. Kind of like the McRib, it comes and goes, keeping its fans on their toes. Because the real true ingredient to make a good lobster roll is fresh lobster, it only makes sense that it would be made available at locations where they can provide that. Would you want some old, stale lobster mixed with warm mayo? Yuck, definitely not.
Hey, Eddie.
Mighty Wings.
Players can't stop talking about McDonald's new Mighty Wings.
He's gonna take my mighty wings.
Sometimes the only thing you need is some good old chicken wings, and in 2013, you could get some at your local McDonald's. The fast food giant decided to expand its chicken selection because, it wasn't big enough, and released their Mighty Wings. Sold in packs of 3, 5, or 10, the Mighty Wings were chicken wings covered in spicy breading.
Hey, come on. Tell me that don't smell good. Huh? It smells okay.
While this idea seemed genius and totally suitable for McDonald's, it didn't last. In 2014, after the prices were drastically dropped to sell all of the remaining wings and avoid waste, they disappeared. One of the main reasons why the Mighty Wings failed was because of how spicy they were. Not that they weren't spicy enough, but the complete opposite. They were so spicy. Most people couldn't even taste anything but the spice. Another issue was the price. According to the McDonald's menu, the Mighty Wings were considered a premium item, and the prices were not the most competitive. People were more likely to spend their hard-earned money on favorite safe choices rather than try a new and allegedly too spicy item. The Mighty Wings were a good idea, just a poorly executed one. Crazy to think McD's could have been catering your next Super Bowl party, huh?
They're spicy?
Supersize.
Sorry, Miss Pinewood, but why would anybody need this much soda?
While technically not a menu item, the supersize option is still something that disappeared from the McDonald's menu. It's one of those things that represents America. Think big. For those who aren't familiar with supersize, it was basically having the option to upsize your fries and your soft drink, making your meals seem even more giant.
And bigger is better.
Obviously, it was cause for concern when it came to the health hazards, as supersizing a meal also means supersizing the calories. But that wasn't even the main reason why McD's stopped offering the option. The real reason was that the supersized items weren't making as much money as they wanted, so they decided to stop doing it. Also, it may or may not have had something to do with the social experiment documentary Supersize Me by Morgan Spurlock that came out in 2004. The same year, McDonald's stopped supersizing their menu. In this documentary, Spurlock wanted to see what effects eating McDonald's every day for every meal would have on his health. His rules? Try everything on the menu at least once and say yes whenever he was asked if he wanted to supersize his meals. The aftermath of this documentary kind of freaked people out, and they demanded healthier options from the fast food chain. McDonald's listened, and the supersize option was soon gone. Whether or not Supersize Me played a part in the option's departure, maybe it was a good decision anyway. For your health and stuff. Beef tallow fries.
Oh god, this is good.
You can't think about McDonald's without thinking about the fries. Well, apparently, back when Mickey D's was first starting out, they used to be way tastier, all thanks to a very special ingredient they would use to give the fries that extra little tasty kick. The fries used to be fried in something called beef tallow, or if you prefer, beef fat, which wasn't exactly vegetarian-friendly. It was the tallow that gave the fries their signature rich and buttery flavor that drove everyone crazy.
Gimme. Oh my god, I love you.
It sounds a little peculiar to use fat to cook fries, but it was the cheapest, most convenient option for the chain at the time, and it seemed to work. For a while, until people started bringing up how beef tallow could be a health hazard and the cause of some serious cholesterol issues. McDonald's then changed up the recipe in an attempt to lower the amount of saturated fat and replaced the tallow with 100% vegetable oil in the 1990s. The only problem was the taste. To get back to that iconic, recognizable taste, they started adding beef flavoring to the fries, even after claiming they were now vegan. While McD stopped using any type of beef for fries in most parts of the world, in the US they said the heck with it and still sell fries with the added beef seasoning. But don't worry, it's natural, whatever that means.
I'm so confused right now.
Chopped beefsteak sandwich.
Here. Thanks. Oh, easy. It's not a hot dog.
With such a robust menu, it shouldn't come as a surprise that McDonald's at some point sold a beefsteak sandwich. Sure, it sounds like something you would probably want to order at a steakhouse and not McDonald's, but believe it or not, it was real, and it goes all the way back to the late 1970s. The chopped beefsteak sandwich was basically like a long burger on a roll, topped with onions and served with some barbecue sauce on the side so that you could put as much on as you wanted. It also came with a very peculiar side of onion nuggets. Battered and deep-fried chunks of onion. Despite the kind of appetizing description of this mighty sandwich, it never really took off and ended up disappearing from the menu.
No! Come on! It's not even real food!
The reason? We don't want to speculate, but it might have something to do with the fact that the chopped beefsteak wasn't actual steak. It was just ground beef. Perhaps a more honest name would have won a few extra points in the public's eye. Either way, this now forgotten item paved the way for a now beloved and anticipated item that entered our lives only 2 years later, the McRib. So while the chopped beefsteak sandwich is no longer with us, it still left us with its very cherished cousin. And to that, we say, so long, beefsteak. Maybe try again when you want to be honest.
I made mistakes! I want to take them back!
McSoup.
I can walk into McDonald's, order soup, and they'll make it.
McDonald's is arguably one of the best comfort food restaurants out there. It's familiar, warm, and delicious. And you know what else is a familiar, warm, and delicious comfort food? Soup. It would then only make sense to serve soup at McDonald's, right? Well, McSoup was there to answer all of your prayers, except it wasn't anything magical, and that's probably why the item didn't stay on the menu for too long.
I never understood soup.
It was literally just Campbell's soup poured into a cup with a big M on it, and voila, you now had McSoup. McDonald's didn't even try to hide the fact that they didn't make the soup themselves, but hey, at least they were honest. At first, people were reluctant to try the McSoup because, well, soup isn't really why you go to Mickey D's, but once they gave it a try, most were charmed and actually liked it. And who wouldn't, considering Campbell's soup is already tasty to begin with? The McSoup came in 2 varieties, broccoli and cheese soup and chicken noodle, and were only available during the winter months in some locations. Not to say that McSoup wouldn't be a good idea to bring back, because honestly, we always need a little extra comfort in our lives. But maybe if McD's came up with their own carefully prepared and refined soup recipe, it would make a great addition to warm us during these cold months.
Normal can of condensed soup, you put the water in it, you heat it up, it's done.
McSalad Shakers.
Would you like some salad?
Since I am not a rabbit, no, I do not.
McDonald's is obviously all about convenience and efficiency. Everything is designed to be quick and delicious, and that's exactly what they had in mind when they came up with the McSalad Shakers in the early 2000s. The McSalad Shakers, now dethroned by the premium salads, came in garden, chef, and grilled chicken Caesar options and were basically entire salads shoved into a cup. All you needed to do was add the dressing and shake. It was the perfect way to avoid any extra and unwanted mess. The concept seemed to really take off, and people were loving the idea of being able to simply close the lid and shake it up. But others thought the idea was a little overhyped, and that without this cool shaker, the salads were pretty ordinary. But overall, the reviews were good. However, despite their likability, the shakers were replaced with the regular boring salad. While today, salads have been discontinued altogether, we can't help but miss shaking things up a bit once in a while.
I like to move it, move it.
The McSalad Shakers were probably the funnest way to eat a salad.
Who goes to McDonald's and orders a salad?
Tap or click for more great videos. Here for the first time? Then hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad.